Hi, babies. Time for bedtime story. Grandma loves you. Tonight we're going to read again out of Animal Tale. I'm going to read out of this till it's gone. Story tonight is The City Mouse and the Country Mouse. Once upon a time, a country mouse named Oliver lived in a hole under a big oak tree. Oliver loved his home in the country, surrounded by chattering squirrels, chirping crickets, and hardy plants. One day, Oliver decided to invite his city cousin, Alistair, for a visit. Alistair will surely like it here, Oliver thought. When Alistair arrived, he set his fine leather suitcase on Oliver's rug of fresh pine needles. Oliver, is this your cellar? He asked. No, it's my home, said Oliver. He and Alistair sat down for dinner and ate barley, wheat, and dandelion tea. Alistair nibbled at his meal politely. This tastes as though it's good for me, although it doesn't have much flavor, he chuckled to himself. After dinner, they both settled into their beds and went to sleep. The next morning, a robin family twittered in the oak tree. I love the sound of birds in the morning, said Oliver. It makes me excited to start my day. You start your day this early? Asked Alistair. I can't stand that confounded racket. Alistair pressed his pillow to his ears. Oliver put on his overalls, pulled up his work boots, and pushed his wheelbarrow out into the sunshine to begin his day. Alistair yawned and rolled out of bed. He thought it was too early and too hot to do any work. Alistair watched his cousin collect acorns, corn husks, and water. After Oliver finished, Alistair said, I think it's high time for a snack and a nap. Oliver giggled. My work isn't finished. Alistair sighed. You work too hard for your dinner here, and all you end up with is a pile of seeds. Come back to the city with me, and I'll show you the good life. So the two mice set out for Alistair's home in the city. Oliver followed Alistair over fields and valleys, into the subway tunnels, and across crowded city parks until they arrived at Alistair's street. Alistair stopped in front of a beautiful hotel. Welcome to my home. This is how mice should really live, he said. Oliver stared up at the revolving glass door. But how do we get in? He asked. We wait until it turns, and then we run as fast as we can, said Alistair. When the door started to turn, Alistair darted inside. Oliver tried to keep up with his cousin, but his bag became caught in the door. Oliver went round and around so many times, he couldn't tell whether he was right side up or upside down. Finally, Alistair pulled Oliver out of the door and led him across a beautiful marble hallway to a small crack hidden by a heavy velvet drapes. Here is my apartment, said Alistair. Oliver looked around in amazement. There were so many fancy things everywhere. We're under the bandstand, Alistair told Oliver. An orchestra plays at night, and people dance till morning. Isn't it too loud to sleep? Asked Oliver. Sleep? Asked Alistair. I sleep when I want. I never have to worry about being up early. Alistair led Oliver into the chef's kitchen. You don't want anyone to catch you, he warned. Oliver was nervous. What could happen to them if they were caught? Alistair quietly opened the pantry door. Inside, Oliver saw shelf after shelf of cheeses, jams, fruit, and meat. They entered, and Alistair began a feast. Now this is fine dining, Alistair said as he crunched into a cracker. Help yourself. Alistair sat down to fill his stomach with pretzels, cheese, and olives, but Oliver was too nervous to eat. Then they were spotted by the chef. You again? He shouted at Alistair. The chef took a broom and chased the mice out of the pantry. Alistair and Oliver escaped beneath a pastry cart. Time for dessert, said Alistair as he feasted on a pie. Oliver was so nervous about the chef that he lost his balance and fell into a cream puff. When they were finished, the mice went back to Alistair's apartment. You take too many risks, said Oliver. There's a lot of good food here in the city, but I'm too nervous to eat, even a crumb. Perhaps you are not cut out for the city, just like I'm not cut out for the country, Alistair said. The two mice agreed. While they enjoyed visiting one another, each liked his own house and lifestyle better. Oliver traveled back home and ate supper of acorns and wheat kernels. Then he curled up under his oak tree as he listened to the crickets chirp. Back in the city, Alistair enjoyed the last of his pie and listened to the orchestra play. Both of the mice sighed, and at the same time they said, I love being home. Home, sweet home. So that's the end of that story. So Grandma's got a little poem for you, okay? Called My Dog Spot. I have a white dog whose name is Spot. And he's sometimes white and he's sometimes not. But whether he's white or whether he's not, there's a patch on his ear that makes him Spot. He likes a bone and he likes a ball, but he doesn't care for a cat at all. He waggles his tail and he knows what's what. I'm glad he's my dog Spot. The end. All right, so it's time to say goodnight, everybody.
Good night. Love you.
Papa says love you. Great grandma? Great grandma says good night.
Grandma loves you.
Great grandma loves you. Grandma loves you. Mwah, 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 mwah. Good night.
Night.